Hey everyone, thank you for attending today's webinar. My name is Joe Riganello, Senior Product Marketing Manager for Newstar, and we've got an exciting presentation planned for you guys today. Today you'll hear from Craig Pence, our VP of Market Development, and Melissa Larson, Product Manager for Newstar's Customer Interaction Management Solutions. You'll hear how you could effectively utilize remarketing techniques in an omnichannel environment. But first, some housekeeping items. Audio is being provided via VoIP, voice over IP. Be sure to turn up the sound on your speakers. If you have any audio or technical difficulty, please click on the Help widget at the bottom of the screen. It has a question mark icon and covers common technical issues. If you're unable to resolve the issue or have any questions during the webcast, you can click on the Q&A widget at the bottom and submit your question. We'll try to answer any questions during the webcast, but may run out of time, so we'll reply via email after the presentation. Lastly, an on-demand version of the webcast will be available and sent to your email in the next few days. Thanks and enjoy the webcast. Take it away, Craig.
Hey, thanks, Joe, and good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to spend the next 15 minutes or so walking you through two very different consumer experiences. The first story is one with which you'll be very familiar. It's the story of digital retargeting and how it works today. At the end of that story, I'm going to discuss a little bit about the pros and cons of the retargeting technologies today. And then after that, I'm going to walk us through a second story. This story will describe the next generation of consumer interaction and how a marketing department empowered with cross-channel reach and personalized content can change the outcome of our story and deliver new clients to sales. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. So everyone, please meet Joe. It's lunchtime on Friday afternoon, and Joe's using a little bit of the company's bandwidth to search for residential cable service. Joe types cable deals for 21842 into his work laptop browser. Thanks to your search engine marketing team, your company's site appears first on the list, and you successfully win Joe's click. That means Joe finds himself sitting on your landing page. So naturally, in today's environment, the first thing you do is drop a cookie so you can track Joe's behavior and retarget him at a later date. You find Joe in full research mode. High-speed internet and a great deal are the drivers of Joe's decision, and he's looking for a bundled triple play offer to get the most bang for his buck. The challenge is you don't know that because right now Joe's only looking at your bandwidth page, and he just picked up the phone and dialed your 800 number. So Joe has some questions about upload and download speeds, spends a few minutes getting clarity on that subject, and just then Joe notices it's 12:59. He's got a conference call in a minute, so he tells your telesales rep, thank you very much, hangs off the phone, surfs away from your site, and so no first close for Joe. A pretty typical initial interaction with somebody who's in market and doing their initial research. So the question is, who is Joe? Right now, your company's picture of Joe probably isn't much better than what's displayed on this screen. Joe is a cookie, and Joe is a phone number. Those are two pieces of identity that you have no way to tie together today or glean much more insight from. We know what Joe looked at on your site, what search words he used, and what browser he was on. Your search engine marketing team did a great job of driving Joe to your site, but now it's your turn to turn Joe the browser into Joe the customer, which is a pretty daunting task considering the very little insight you have into who Joe really is and only having that single browser or maybe a phone number in order to re-engage with Joe. So if we fast forward a little bit, it's many of our favorite days of the week. It's Sunday, aka game day. It's 12:30. Joe's assumed his position on the couch, his fortress for his next 6 to 8 hours, while Joe contemplates his fantasy football lineup with Boomer and the rest of the ESPN team delivering some riveting insights to him. His lethargic internet reminds him that he needs to continue his search for a new internet provider. The challenge is here, you can't reach Joe. Right? He was on his work laptop on Friday when you placed your first-party cookie, Now he's on his personal MacBook Air making a few final tweaks to his fantasy lineup, so you have no cookie on that machine. Fortunately for you in this case, Joe's on top of things, and having a few extra minutes before kickoff, he again types cable deals 21842 into his browser. Once again, your SEM team does their job, delivers Joe to the website, and just after you cookie him, Joe hears that magical sound of the start of Sunday football. It's 1 p.m. He's done researching cable providers, and you're, again, only left with a browser. As he closes his browser, you have no more information. So we're still no conversion on Joe, but now you have another faceless Joe via another browser, a consumer who seems to be in market for your service, but you can't tie his first interaction to the one that just happened, and therefore you treat this Joe like a new Joe and have no means to tie those two interactions together. So now we're going to fast forward to Monday morning. If Joe were anything like me, he'd be crying in his Cheerios because the Redskins just lost again, so let's hope that's not Joe's fate. But Joe is now back on his work laptop, and he's working remote today, so he makes a visit to Facebook as he has his morning coffee. Starts down through his timeline, creates a post asking for opinions on local cable providers. Naturally, he's going to receive a mixed bag. He received mixed bag reviews about your service, and he gets one really good review from about a competitor's service. So next he opens another new browser to check the scores from last night's late game, and here you go. You're presented with your big chance. You display an ad to Joe based on that first-party cookie that you placed from Friday's lunchtime session. The challenge is the offer is the same one that everyone else who looked at the cable and phone page sees. The problem, as we know, is Joe is actually in market for the triple play. He just didn't get to that page on your site before he made the phone call to your contact center. The result, unfortunately, is the ad misses the mark, but at the same time it does remind Joe that he needs to make a decision. So he sees a good deal for a triple play offer from a competitor after doing another search, and that company wins the business. So that's sort of the story of retargeting today, right? Joe is a browser, or maybe Joe is a phone number. You don't have any insight to identify Joe across multiple devices. I mean, we didn't even touch on the fact that Joe probably spent time on his tablet and his smartphones over the weekend. And you certainly don't have an understanding of Joe's offline persona in order to serve that more compelling offer in order to gain that conversion. All that said, retargeting still works today. You can see the numbers on the slide, and we all know why, right? Joe's a hand raiser. Joe's in market. Joe has shown an interest in your brand. He's someone likely to make a purchase. In other words, Joe has worked himself pretty down that much revered marketing and sales funnel. And as you can see on the slide, many marketers are still spending a disproportionate amount of digital dollars trying to get to Joe because at the end of the day, the impressions still provide the best CPA when it comes to display. So I'm now going to tell you the other story, and we're going to talk about Joe and his quest for the triple play. And without ruining the end of this story, I can tell you one thing. It certainly works out much better than my friend Jon Snow faced on Sunday evening in the season finale of Game of Thrones. So here's the goal for this story. We're going to change the game on Joe. We're going to leverage OmniChannel ReMarketing to achieve every marketer's nirvana. The instant Joe raises that hand, we're going to engage him with offers and content that keep our brand top of mind, reinforce the value of our product, and we're going to leverage these insights not only via the channel or device by which Joe raised his hand, but across every channel that is relevant to Joe as he makes this buying decision. And to top that all off, if we're successful at converting Joe, we'll have an even greater understanding of Joe's buying journey, which we can leverage for the next Joe who we come across. So here we go with our new version of the story. Meet Joe again. Once more, it's lunchtime on Friday afternoon, and Joe just thought about the fact that he's faced with spending another weekend with really slow internet speed. So determined to solve this problem, Joe enters the good old cable deals in 21842 search again, and your SEM team once again delivers the day and wins Joe's click. So Through the magic of the internet, Joe clicks your link, and through something called DNS, it is ensured that in a few milliseconds, Joe now ends up on your site. However, this time, we've got Joe exactly where we want him. So, ladies and gentlemen, I give you the real Joe. This is the offline Joe. I'm not going to get into details of pixels and cookies and site directs and ANIs, which is the telecommunications term for phone numbers, and all of the rest. Melissa will be covering that in more detail later. But trust me for now, this is the real Joe, the offline Joe, the living and breathing person at the other end of the phone and at the other end of the browser. And this is the type of OmniChannel ReMarketing powered by Neustar that can deliver to your enterprise. One thing I would be remiss to mention here, this same intelligence can obviously be used to personalize Joe's experience when he's on your website or when Joe calls in and interacts with your call center IVR. But those are different stories for different days. And just like our last Friday, it's 12:59 for Joe, and he's got a WebEx to join. So Joe has left your site to join his team meeting. And once again, Joe hasn't purchased. But now you know Joe. Joe isn't a browser. Joe's a guy. He's a pretty affluent guy, according to this. He's a man with 2 kids. He's a man who loves those kids even when they're hogging his prized iPad or iPhone 6. And over the next 3 days, as Joe contemplates his purchase decision, you're going to leverage these newly gleaned insights about Joe to deliver both consistent and compelling offers, as well as reach Joe across every channel with which he interacts, despite the fact that all we have to start with is the cookie from his site visit and the phone number when he made the inbound call to your contact center. So now for the sake of time, let's fast forward to Monday afternoon, and Joe's working remote. Each time, sorry folks, hold on one second. Okay, sorry. So now I'm going to fast forward to Monday afternoon. Joe's working remote today. Over the weekend, each time Joe has been exposed to media, you guys have been there. Whether it was a display ad on his tablet, an in-app ad on his smartphone while he checked his fantasy lineup, a sponsored tweet, or even a compelling email offer that he received, opened, and read on Sunday morning, you've engaged Joe across nearly every channel. On top of that, you've leveraged insights you know about Joe to deliver compelling offers and content. And now you're about to seal this deal. Into the kitchen walks Mrs. Joe with today's mail. Joe starts through it, bill. Then what's this? It's a glossy 5x8 postcard from your company with a killer offer for the triple play, and to top it off, a year of the NFL package for free. Joe thinks, my God, this is too good to be true. All weekend he's been exposed to your brand. You've touted the speed of your internet, even when 10 devices are connected to it, which is a huge thing for Joe. You played up the reliability of your service. And most important to Joe, you gave him a great price and the NFL package. As a result, an excited Joe picks up the phone, dials the number on the postcard, is routed to an agent who specializes in the triple play, and signs Joe up for service. So congratulations. You just harnessed the power of omnichannel remarketing to stay top of mind, deliver compelling content and offers, and reach Joe across every channel with which he's interacted since he first raised his hand in the office on Friday. The cherry on top of all of this is not only can we attribute all of these cross-channel actions to Joe's offline conversion, we can also stop targeting Joe with acquisition offers across all of these same channels now that he's made the purchase. So instead, we can focus on upsell and cross-sell opportunities to get Joe to sign up for the next great high-def package that's coming out next week. So, as promised, again, a much better ending than my friend Jon Snow or Stannis Baratheon, for that matter. So, and I promise that'll be the last Game of Thrones reference. I wanted to get a couple of those in there today. I'm going to buzz through a few more of these slides real quickly before turning things over to Melissa. I just told you a great story to many of you. That's likely what it sounded like, a story, or maybe even a fairy tale. It all sounds easy enough. However, there's one underlying component that is paramount to any omni-channel strategy's success, and that's identity. Authoritative, deterministic identity. Without identity, you're guessing, and without identity, omni-channel simply doesn't work. So now let's take a quick look at this fundamental challenge, how we overcome that, and then again, I'll turn things over to Melissa, and she can walk you through the product in some additional details. So if you don't believe me that identity is hard, take a look here at what my friends at Deloitte found after interviewing a few hundred leading brands in the U.S. I know one thing, that 40% number seems pretty high to me. Note that it does include customer identification. And please remember, the problem we're solving here is generally more geared toward new customer acquisition. However, the same principles can certainly be applied to cross-sell and upsell campaigns targeting existing customers. Just the pure proliferation of devices and what we at Neustar call fractional identifiers. And a fractional identifier can be a cell phone, a web browser, a mobile ad ID, an email, a social handle, a physical address, and I really feel like this list seems to grow virtually every day. It really makes having this single view of the customer, who you probably have some contact information on, let alone your prospect, who you have very little or no information on, infinitely more difficult. Fortunately for me, and potentially for you, I've got a great team here of really smart data scientists and engineers and product leads who live and breathe identity every day. And they help us do that better than anybody else in the marketplace. So we just covered the number of potential identifiers with which a customer or prospect can interact with your brand. I want to pile on top of that a little bit and talk about the next big challenge, which is, of course, data changes. Identifiers change. Keeping an accurate view of the consumer and which consumer is linked to which identifiers is becoming an exercise pretty much akin to rocket science as far as I'm concerned. Fortunately for Neustar, we sit in a really unique market position. I like to think of it as sort of the crossroads of online and offline identity. Our company grew up in the offline telecommunications space because we were around in the years before Mr. Gore invented the internet. And but that said, we were also one of, if not the first company to bring verified identity from offline into the online world. And also, as a trusted neutral third party, we have unique data assets tied to both consumer identity and consumer behavior that are virtually irreplicable in today's marketplace. And a very interesting aside is, that data is updated every 15 minutes inside our repositories to ensure that our customers know who's at the other end of every interaction across every channel. So with that, I'm going to take a couple sips of water, and thank you very much for taking the time to hear the story of Joe and how we're helping leading brands to thrive in today's omni-channel ecosystem. And at this time, I'm going to turn it over to the very capable hands of Melissa Larson to discuss the service in some greater detail. Go ahead, Melissa.
Thanks, Craig. So like Craig said, I'm going to talk about, we've talked about Joe and his journey. Now I'll talk to you for the next 10 to 15 minutes about how Neustar can help get into the specifics of our solution and how it works. So as Craig said, one of the biggest challenges today to unlocking the value of remarketing is a data availability issue, or better stated, an identity issue. So if you don't know who's on the other end of that phone call into your call center or who's browsing your website, you don't know the real Joe, reaching back out to Joe is virtually impossible. Reaching back out to him with an offer that is relevant to Joe is even more challenging. So what Neustar brings to this equation is our unique approach to identity. We process over 2 million updates per day We link those updates to 220 million adults across 120 million households and 180 million devices. We also bring in over 15,000 offline and online attributes to describe not just who those individuals are, but how should you message to those individuals. What this information allows you to do is to really leverage those identity linkages in addition to what you already know about your customers and the performance of your offers, to bring together all of those pieces of information that are currently typically siloed into one view of the customer across all touch points. The result is a personalized, consistent dialogue across multiple channels and devices. Only with authoritative identity are you able to gain that comprehensive portrait of your customers and target with precision. You're able to send a message that's specific to Joe, who you know is interested in your product or service, because Joe has raised his hand and said, I'm interested. You just need to be able to reach back out and provide that offer that's going to get him across the goal line. So how do we do it? Neustar's solution is OmniChannel ReMarketing. It identifies, qualifies, and targets the non-converting leads from your call center and website via email, direct mail, display, mobile, and social media. So to get a little deeper into the nuts and bolts of the solution and how this actually works in practice, for the call center, we will receive all of the phone numbers of those non-converters within 24 hours of their call. We then match that information to our data repository, compare it to your customer data. We can suppress records that you need to suppress. So for example, if you don't want to market to anybody who's a current customer, we'll suppress that out based upon your business rules. If it's someone that you're already marketing to via some other campaign, we don't want to contaminate that sample with this service. We can do that too. So it's all based upon client-specific business rules. But so we'll suppress, and then we can add additional details, right? So we use that segmentation information of what Joe's demographics look like, Joe's family status, Joe's urbanicity, to understand what's the best message, best offer. We will then provide a list of all of those actionable contacts for next day promotions. The specific marketing channels that we'll be able to enable for call center leads are direct mail, email, display advertising, mobile advertising, or social media advertising via Facebook. So the day after your prospect calls your call center because they're interested, they will be able to receive relevant targeted ads across any or all of these execution channels. You re-engage with them when they're in that critical decision-making time frame. For the website, this process looks very similar. So really the only difference is how we actually receive those leads. So the client is going to place a pixel on the relevant pages that they want to remarket to. Maybe it's not your home page, but pages where they've expressed an interest. They've gone to a specific product or service page. The pixel will be placed there. Neustar then tracks those page visitors and matches them to our data repository, just the same as with call center leads. We again will take the customer data, suppress out based upon your business rules, enable targeted marketing, and then provide back contact lists for email, display advertising, mobile advertising, and Facebook advertising. With this solution, you'll see increased profitability by identifying new hand-raised prospects, higher customer value by gaining a comprehensive portrait of that customer, cost reductions by ensuring that you're only using high-quality data, efficiency gains with an automated Neustar-driven process, and ultimately increase profitability due to those targeted offers. The key features of this solution, so what's included with OmniChannel ReMarketing, of course, there's the execution across multiple channels, also the data management. So there are a lot of intricacies in terms of what it is that you want to send out, your suppression. So we need to think about things like opt-outs. If you have a list of anyone who's not interested in receiving your marketing communications, of course we need to respect that, so we have to get that data. Suppression for current and pending customers, and then attributes for creative assignments. So if you have specific territories that need specific offers, all of that is part of the data management process. It's going to help us make sure that we're sending the right information to the right users. Reporting. So for email specifically, we will provide stats on inbox deliverability, opens and clicks, and then we'll also give total daily leads by channel. And then, of course, in order to ensure all of this is something that's measurable and can be monitored over time, we'll also close the loop with custom analytics to tell you how well your campaign is performing by channel and by offer in terms that your business cares about. That includes lift in conversion, reduction in acquisition costs, and lift in lifetime value. This isn't a service that you just set up your rules and you're done with it. You'll have the ability to go back, look at all the different analyses, look at how your segments are performing using Platform One, and really understanding whether or not your marketing offers are doing what they need to do. And if you need to make some adjustments, of course, that's also part of the process. So the key takeaways and next steps, what I hope you've gotten from Craig and my presentation today, the first thing is to make your approach an omni-channel approach. So your customers right now are on the web, they're on their phones, they're on their tablets, they're on social media, they're checking their email, they're checking their physical mailbox. You need to be communicating to them through all of those channels. Second, make it count. So make identity a key component to your approach. It all starts with identity, and if you don't have that portion nailed down, the rest will not be successful. So once you have that, take the next step, make it personal. Deliver targeted messages and offers to ensure that you're saying the right message to the right person. And then close the loop. So figure out what works, continue to refine your approach. So thank you for joining today. Joe, do we have any questions?
Yes, we do. Thank you again, Craig and Melissa. First question. Are there restrictions going from one channel to another as it relates to PII?
Yeah, so I'll take that one. Yes, there are. So this service has, there are a number of different inputs and there are a number of different outputs. So what we've done is gone through all of the different kind of iterations of this service, reviewed them with our Chief Privacy Officer, and ensured that the solution is compliant with our privacy policy and all applicable laws. So there are certain channels that we are not able to do. The one specifically that you may notice between the two different inputs is we're able to do direct mail as a result of a inbound phone call lead. We do not do direct mail for a web visit. So we're not taking that online identity and appending an offline identifier. That's something that we've determined is not within our privacy policy. But beyond that, another question that often comes up when we're talking about our OmniChannel ReMarketing solution, specifically for the email portion, because it is so unique within the remarketing industry, is this CAN-SPAM compliant? And the answer is yes. So we obtain double opt-in on all of the emails that we use for this program. So that means that the the subscriber has provided their email address and personal information, and then they've also acknowledged that opt-in upon receipt of an automatic responder message. They can unsubscribe from communications at any time, and each email communication that we send must contain at least 2 opt-out vehicles. So that makes the process seamless and quick and compliant with CAN spam.
Thanks. Before we get to the next question, let me just say some comments that we've gotten in about Craig's spoilers. There's a lot of upset people, Craig, so.
Great.
Including myself.
Lots of hate emails from those that DVR'd Sunday's episode. I figured by Thursday it was safe.
I'm getting some hate IMs. That's all I have to say. All right, we'll give you this next question. You talked about closed loop. Can that also be expanded to include ad impressions?
Yes, it certainly can. So, as Melissa explained, similar to what we do on the site, we would just embed our tags in the creative of all of the advertising. And I talked a little bit about our unique position of neutrality. Right? We have this sort of ubiquitous analytics tag that lets us track impressions across virtually any publisher's website. So we can really help our customers get a really good understanding of how that impression level exposure, even if it didn't result in a click and a conversion, ultimately impacted that conversion. And again, because everything that we do, sort of reduces down to the offline authoritative identity, we can actually help them understand not only unique, reach through the lens of a browser, but unique reach through the lens of a household or an individual. So all of that data can be passed back to our customers for analytics, or obviously our professional services team can engage and help our customers better understand the true efficacy of their media spend. And sorry, everybody who I ruined Sunday's episode for.
All right, we'll let that slide since that was a great answer. All right, next question. We already send follow-up emails to our known users who have placed an item in their shopping cart but have not converted. Would this program target those same shoppers?
So it can, but it certainly doesn't have to. And in many cases, you would probably not want to, right? So you're testing a campaign, or you have a campaign that automatically sends messages to someone who's already logged in to your site, and they've put something in their shopping cart. So a very common and effective strategy is to reach back out with an email and say, hey, it looks like you forgot something. For those individuals, there's a few different ways that we can suppress them out, but we absolutely can. This program should never be seen as something that's going to interfere with another campaign that you're working on. It's additive. So it's specifically targeted for those individuals who are in your blind spot. And anyone who's already logged in on your website isn't in your blind spot, right? They've told you who they are. You may have an existing relationship and you know things about who they are as a customer. We can certainly help you learn more about those individuals, but if that's not a population you're interested in targeting, then we can suppress those out.
Thanks, Melissa. All right, let's see. I'm doing web retargeting today, and it's pretty effective. How can your solution make it better?
So I guess I can take that one. I won't go back through the entire presentation, but I mean, really, it's about improving that reach and that reach across relevant channels, right? So you're doing targeting today, and I'm on your website, and you put your first-party cookie on me, and then when I leave the website, you can serve me an ad. Right? But if I'm on my tablet or home computer, you don't have a means to target me. So we can expand both the scale of the coverage for that individual across all of his different devices. And again, we can deliver those insights above and beyond what I was looking at on your site. Right? What do I look like offline? and how can I use that to improve the offer that I'm going to make in order to gain that conversion.
All right. Another question. Melissa, we'll give you this one. Is direct mail still effective in today's world?
Sure it is, yeah. So I think direct mail is sort of the bread and butter for marketers, right? That direct mail is something that marketers have been doing for years and years. It's not necessarily as fast. Obviously, you can send an email much more quickly. You can display a display advertisement or a mobile ad or social media advertisement much more quickly. But all of the channels have their place and have their audience. So it's really about understanding what the right marketing mix is, not saying that one marketing channel is not worth doing. You want to understand how to do it tactically. So, like I mentioned before, you've got individuals who are interacting with you in all sorts of ways, right? They're coming into your store, they're calling you, they're going to your web page, and they're doing it in a lot of different channels. One of the ways that they interact with you is by reading your direct mail marketing advertisements. So it absolutely is still effective today.
Hey, Joe, I would just pile on top of that. I mean, yeah, I know I've been harping on identity, but to Melissa's point, like there are certain segments that are going to perform better, responding to email versus direct mail versus a Facebook campaign. And again, us being able to help the marketers resolve back to the identity of who is responding to which campaigns, we can help them create that right mix. So. But I agree with Melissa. Direct mail is still a viable solution.
Do you guys have any comments or insight on how we could actually apply this to like the B2B market segment?
Sure. So I would say the best way that this applies to B2B, we have insights on business individuals, particularly for some of those small business and home office types of businesses. So we'll have emails that we can send back to businesses. We can use our business segmentation platform in order to provide information about those businesses. This certainly applies. If they've visited your web page that is specific to a business audience, and we see that they visited and we have an email for them, we should absolutely every time be marketing to them because they are a hand-raised audience and they're within your market. So not marketing to them is a missed opportunity.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate your time today and your insight. I think it was very insightful and a very good webinar. I hope everybody on the call enjoyed it. That concludes today's presentation. Thanks again to our speakers and everybody in attendance. We'll be sending out some follow-up emails with some of the questions that we didn't get to, so please look forward to those, and we're happy to have a dialogue with you one-on-one and send some more information. So thank you guys, enjoy your Thursday, and have a great day.